Hey guys, it's Raul again, and today I'll be sharing with you the mid-year book freakout tag. This is one that a lot of people are doing this time of year. I feel like it's the perfect tag to do this time of year to kind of see what you've read, see what you're most anticipating and everything. So yeah, it's a quick one. It's a nice one. I haven't done a tag in a while, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the questions. So the first question is best book you've read so far in 2019. This was a really hard one to do because I've read really good books this year so far, but I think I'm going to go ahead and give that honor to Pride by A.B. Zaboy, which I've talked about, gushed about, absolutely loved. It's a modern day Pride and Prejudice retelling set in New York City. And yes, absolutely loved this. All the characters, everybody is a person of color, which I absolutely ended up loving. So yeah, this is one that is absolutely my favorite book so far this year. Apart from a couple of other ones that are kind of on par with this one. The next question is the best sequel that you have read this year. And this book, I almost picked as favorite book, but when I saw the question for best sequel, I figured I would just throw it in here. And it's obviously going to be Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. Absolutely loved this series. I loved this book. This one just is absolutely amazing, an amazing sequel to an amazing series so far. This takes place in a world where death doesn't exist anymore, so the Scythe are kind of ordained by the Thunderhead, which is kind of our version of the Cloud. He has become so powerful and so amazing that the Thunderhead kind of overtakes everything and there's no death anymore, so the Scythe are kind of ordained to have to choose people to kill. So our two main characters, Citra and Rowan, are chosen to become Scythe apprentices, and yes, the story kicks off from there. This is book 2 in this series, which I absolutely adored, and it is definitely one of my favorite books of the year. Third question is new release you haven't read yet but you want to, and I'm picking the only new release that I have on my shelf that I haven't read. I haven't really pre-ordered a lot of new releases this year, and I've read the new releases that I have received, that I've pre-ordered and received so far. The only one that I haven't read is A War Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the first book in a new YA sci-fi series that follows this kind of band of misfits as they go out in space into the space journey. It sounds really interesting, definitely one that I want to check out. And yes, the only new release on my shelf I think that I have picked up and haven't read. All the other books that I haven't read on my shelf are not new releases. Again, I'm trying to not let all of these new releases accumulate this year. I'm definitely trying to read them as soon as I get them. So this is one that I picked up last month, I believe, and still haven't read. Definitely want to. The next question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and that is definitely going to go to The Toll by Neil Shusterman, the last book in the Arc of the Scythe trilogy, which I am desperately anticipating because Thunderhead was amazing, and yes, I'm still not okay after the end of that second book. So definitely anticipating I believe it's November 9th release date for that book, which I'm super excited about. The next question is the biggest disappointment of the year, and that was definitely an easy pick for me, and that is Bits and Pieces by Jonathan Mayberry. This is the 5th book in the Rot and Ruin series, and this is a short story collection of, stories that took place within the Rot and Ruin world, and they kind of bound them up and put them in there and, deemed it as a book 5, which I don't think is a book 5. This book didn't add anything to the main story for the first 4 books in the Rot and Ruin series. For those of you who don't know, it's kind of like a YA version of The Walking Dead. So if you guys like zombies, you'll definitely end up loving the series. But yeah, Bits and Pieces didn't do really much to add to this series. I was definitely very bored throughout most of this. I buddy read this with Di from Destiny 19, and even with Buddy reading it and being able to talk about it with Di, it was just a big struggle. I mean, I finished it because we were buddy reading it together, and I wanted to finish it because I loved the series so much. But yeah, these stories were just not for me. I struggled with them very much. There were probably, 2 or 3 sprinkled here and there that I really ended up loving, but most of them were just a complete waste of time for me, and I just did not like this, which I'm very sad about because I love this series. The next question is the biggest surprise of the year, and I feel like that is definitely going to go to I See You by Claire McIntosh. This I picked up on a whim. This was in the bargain bin at Barnes & Noble, and I just randomly ended up picking it because I think the books were like 2 for $4 or 2 for $8 or something ridiculous. So I just saw this and grabbed it. Had no idea who this author was. Had never read anything by her before, and absolutely ended up loving this book. I talked about it in my wrap-up, which I have posted at this point already. This is an adult thriller that follows 3 different perspectives. They're all written in different points of view. I absolutely loved her writing style, loved this mystery, loved the character development, and yes, this was an absolutely amazing thriller. If you guys like adult thrillers, this is definitely one that I recommend you guys check out. go into it a little bit blindly, because I went into it blindly, didn't really know what was going on, and I ended up loving it more going into it blindly, following this mystery and everything. I thought it was great. The next question is my favorite new author, favorite new to me author. That's definitely going to be B.A. Paris. I read B.A. Paris in March for March Mystery Madness, and did not plan on picking up the rest of her books because they weren't in my original TBR, but I loved Behind Closed Doors so much that I ended up picking her other 2 books in March and reading them all in March back to back. I loved B.A. Paris's writing style and her mysteries. She writes adult mystery thrillers, and I absolutely ended up enjoying B.A. Paris. And yes, I will definitely read anything that she comes out with at this point. I'm highly anticipating whatever else she ends up coming out with, because I think that she was an amazing author. And yes, really excited to see what else she comes out with, because I loved her. Next question is newest fictional crush. I don't really have fictional crushes, so I think I'm going to go ahead and end up skipping this question. So the next question is newest favorite character, and I think I'm going to go with Imani from With the Fire on High. I think she's a great main character. I think she had great motivations. The fact that she loved to cook, which is, you know, close to my heart because I also love to cook. But yeah, I thought she was a great character. Definitely, you know, she was young and just awesome. And yeah, I think I really ended up enjoying Imani as a main character. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. The next question is a book that made you cry, and for that, yes, Thunderhead. Again, definitely made me cry a lot. I don't remember the last time I cried this much in a book, and the end of this book, yeah, this was a little bit too much for me. The next question is a book that made you happy, and for that I'm going to choose Next Year in Havana by Chanel Clayton. This book definitely made me happy, just because it's so accurate in its portrayal of Cuban history and Cuban culture. My wife is Cuban, so I know, you know, a lot of what she's told me and stories and everything that she's told me, and so much of this is so accurate and so well written and so well done that this just made me so happy to read something that was just so historically accurate. I loved this book so much, and highly recommend it. Next question is the most beautiful book you have bought this year so far, and I'm again choosing With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, because not only is this a beautiful book with the dust jacket, but it is also a beautiful book without the dust jacket. So definitely had to give it to this one. I mean, there's no question about it. And the last question is a book that you need to read before the end of the year, and I actually made a video of 12 books that I want to read before the end of the year, which I will link down below, but you know, all of those books on that list are ones that I definitely need to read. But out of all of those, I think the one that I mostly want to read, that I feel like I need to, is Middlemarch by George Eliot, because I haven't read any classics this year at all. I definitely want to rectify that and read a couple before the end of the year. Middlemarch is definitely one that's been on my radar for a while, but this is a chunker. I think it's because it's so intimidating. But I feel like now that I'm not in school, I'm not having to read this for school, I'm not on a deadline, I don't have to write a paper on it or anything, that I will enjoy a lot more because I can take my time with this one. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to finish it before the end of the year, but if I at least started and get a good chunk of it read before the end of this year and just read it into 2020, I think I'll be happy enough with it. So yeah, I am picking Middlemarch by George Eliot, which is very intimidating, but I definitely need to read this book. Yeah guys, that is it for all of the questions in the mid-year book freakout tag. Comment down below and let me know if you guys have done this tag. I would love to watch more videos. I've watched a lot of you guys' videos already, but if you guys have done it, definitely let me know and I will go ahead and watch it to see kind of what everyone's answers and stuff are. I'd like to see this kind of video and see kind of what everyone's answers are for books that, you know, their favorites and everything and least favorites of the year so far, because I like this kind of stuff. So yeah guys, thank you guys all again for watching, and I will see you all next time.